Hey YouTube, Black Male Spirituality, or BMS for short. This is my introduction to my channel. I've been commenting on YouTube for a while now, mostly in the Black manosphere as of late. And one of the things I like to do is bring a spiritual aspect to the conversations that are often had in the Black manosphere. I think a lot of the issues we talk about, terms of dating and mating in the Black community, and speaking about these issues from the perspective of the Black man, I think we leave out the aspect of spirituality. You'll hear me talk a lot about high and low vibrations, positive and negative energy. I think those are things that you can discern spiritually if you know how to connect to the spiritual. A lot of men complain about low quality women in our community, you know, baby mamas, all that kind of stuff, ratchet women, women who are not at a healthy weight, to say the least. Women with their attitudes and not being submissive. But at the same time, these same people will talk about how there's some women that, she's good enough for hooking up with, but not anything else. And, what a lot of us don't realize is that we're feeding into the darkness that plagues our community, the dysfunction in our community. We talk about the baby mama issue, or women having kids out of wedlock. And, a lot of us are out here creating some of that. Obviously, I know the arguments about women and them being able to determine who comes into the world. But, as men, we talk about them being delusional about the kind of man they have, but we give them validation. I've heard a lot of dating coaches say no free attention, no free validation. I think that can be applied to dating and relationships. At any rate, one of the things I'm going to encourage is high value, not only being high value, but being high vibrational as a Black man. I'm also going to talk about learning how you can discern the negative energy, because you can see the negative energy with someone, with a woman, for example, just reading her dating profile or on her social media, you can see the tone that reveals a lot of anger, a lot of fear, a lot of hate, and, it'll emanate from that. I think a lot of our issues come from, us as a people being consumed by a spiritual darkness, a negative energy, if you will. If you're a fan of Star Wars, the path to the dark side, the path to darkness is fear, which leads to anger, anger, which leads to hate, and then it all ends in suffering. A lot of us have a lot of fear, understandably. A lot of us have a lot of anger, understandably. A lot of us have hate even, which is understandable, given, what we as Black men specifically have gone through currently and in history. And the same thing with Black women. They went through a lot of similar things to us in history. And a lot of them, due to their own decisions, have gone through a lot of other things that have led them to be angry or fearful or hate. That is the key, that darkness. And the only way we're going to conquer that is if we connect to positivity. If we come to a place of inner peace. I advocate, meditating, especially meditating on the things that you'd want to accomplish, the things you'd want to bring into your life. Because your mind has to focus on what it wants. A lot of times we focus on the things we're afraid of and the things that make us angry. And we don't focus on what we actually want. We don't focus on peace. We don't focus on love. We don't focus on our goals. We don't want to focus on us being successful. We don't want to believe in our success, believe in our ability to make better decisions. And, I know a lot of people, in the Black manosphere and in the Black community, kind of have their opinions about, some of the spirituality type stuff, manifesting, law of attraction, and all of that is real. A lot of women, though, are low vibrational. They're negative. They're not actually living their lives in accordance with those things that they say they believe. Same thing, with men, men who talk about that. They'll talk all day about manifesting, but they don't actually do anything to get to where they want to manifest. Because if you want to manifest something, your actions yourself has to be brought in alignment with the goals that you want. But it's hard to do that when you haven't overcome your anger, your fear. And some of it's a spiritual issue, and some of it, like the late Kevin Samuels would talk about, some of it is therapy. Getting therapy. I think both Black men and Black women both need to get therapy and try to find a way where we can free ourselves from these low vibrations. A lot of people, are no longer in the church or in the mosque or in the temple or whatever your religion is. But it's important to have that spiritual base and having an appreciation for the forces in this universe, this vast universe, unseen forces that are both positive and negative. If you're Christian or Muslim, you talk about jinn or demons, and from the spiritual perspective I'm bringing, I definitely think that's real. And I don't think we as people really take that into consideration. I also believe that there are positive forces, positive beings in this universe as well that, can influence us and that we can connect with. But at any rate, one of the big things I want to talk about is how we need to pour into the things we want. Let's talk about the women. If you want a woman that's fit, feminine, friendly, like Kevin Samuels would talk about, shout out to Kevin, rest in peace to the Godfather, then you need to pour into that. If you want women who wear their natural hair, pour into that. If you want women who are closer to better shape, pour into that. Don't even deal with the women that don't fit the things that you think they should be. If she's not fit, feminine, friendly, don't hook up with her. Why would you want to bring that low quality, low vibrational energy into your life, that person emanating those things? Or even if it's not low vibration, if we don't want to put a judgment on it, if that woman is not a match with what fits with you, with what's congruent to you, then don't deal with it. I mean, it could be cordial, maybe even be friends. Even that you need to be careful with. But in terms of just using her to hook up, or using her, for quick fun, you're entertaining that, you're pouring your energy into that, you're connecting yourself with that, and you're not connecting yourself with a woman who, again, fits your qualifications, fit, feminine, friendly, wears her natural hair. Somebody I respect in this space, Tommy Sotomayor, he was known for talking about hair-hatted hooligans. And he'd have a song, hair-hatted hooligans, act a fool again, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I didn't really like, I think some of our approach is unnecessarily harsh, I think. But digressing from that, Tommy Sotomayor ended up on Fresh and Fit podcast getting into a fight with a hair-hatted hooligan, quote unquote, who actually he brought with him to the show, and who, according to the woman herself, he was trying to hook up with her. So he's talking about all of this. And again, I don't mean to pick on Tom. He's a great guy. I've met him in person. But, again, he's pouring into the very thing, he preaches against. And I think there's a lot of people in this space, and even just your everyday, ordinary brother, who will pour into women that they don't really see long-term material. And if you don't see someone as long-term material, don't deal with her. And same thing with you ladies, if you are one of the ladies who talks about toxic masculinity and all that, I would call it low vibrational masculinity. I think it's a spiritual issue with specific men. There's a positive form of masculinity. I would call it high vibrational masculinity. But you talk about toxic masculinity, we'll call it low vibrational masculinity. But you'll talk about that, but those are the kind of guys you deal with. The kind of guys that aren't going to try to take you seriously, the guys who are only in it for quick fun. If you want better, you have to make better decisions. And again, I think it all starts from the spiritual. So in my first couple of videos, I'm going to take it slow, kind of break down my definitions, what I mean by different things. And then kind of talk about different topics. I may do reaction videos. You may see me appear on panels. I do know one or two people who are in the space already. And I just want to share my perspective. I've written a lot of comments on a lot of videos that you can go see now. And I look forward to giving some teachings. And I don't want to come across, let me preface this. I don't want to come across like I have it all together in terms of spirituality. I've come a long way in the past 2 years. A lot of that was due to my ex-girlfriend, who really encouraged me to connect with more positive energy and to get the negative out of my life, and kind of gave me a better understanding of the concept of high versus low vibrations. At any rate, I can go on, but I was told by one of my mentors to keep these initial videos short. At any rate, peace to everyone who listened. Thank you for listening. And remember, the world is at an all-time high in low vibrations. Stay high vibrational.